I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Science Fiction Divide. I am still your host, Larry. Today we'll be talking about a movie that I saw about a month and a half ago that really creeped me out. 10 Cloverfield Lane. I never saw Cloverfield. I saw bits and pieces of it. When I saw the trailer for this originally, I was like, alright, so they got to follow up to Cloverfield. And I remember watching the trailer thinking, how exactly is this related? But whatever. And I still didn't see Cloverfield before going to see this movie, and as it turned out, I didn't need to. I really don't know how this movie is related to that one, but for 97% of this movie, it is not science fiction. This seemed like, if you've ever seen the Tom Cruise version of War of the Worlds, or if you ever listened to the radio drama of War of the Worlds, there's a scene where Tom Cruise's character, or the main character, comes across Tim Robbins' character. And they go down into the basement and they start having this discussion about rebelling against the aliens or staying and hiding.
You and me, I don't think we're on the same page.
Now, though this wasn't the general theme of the Cloverfield movie, the movie felt like an extended version of that scene. You had John Goodman's character, who was a survivalist. And for most of this movie, you don't know, is he just paranoid? Is he bat poop crazy? Is what he's talking about real? And it took me like a good half hour to realize that what was making this movie compelling is that as a viewer, I felt like I was there with them. This movie helped me insert myself. What would I do in this scenario? I wake up, somebody's telling me they saved my life, but they're not going to let me leave. I look out, and all there is just the three of us, and I see no evidence whatsoever to support the hypothesis that everybody's dead. And even if they were, then what? What am I going to do? And it started to make me feel like I was part of this group of three people thinking, oh my God, if the world's over, what do I do? Do I stay here and hide? Do I go out and accept my fate? And I didn't even ask to be here. Just like I don't know the characters' names, I don't know the actress's name, but the main character of the story, her, she didn't ask to be there, and she's skeptical the entire time about John Goodman's character's motives. We know he's not all there, or is he? How would you feel if you were the type of person that had been preparing, because it looked like he was a survivalist? He looked like he was one of those individuals who was preparing for the day the government was going to turn on its people, or the day the virus was going to break out and kill everybody, or the day the war was going to begin and we're all going to get wiped out. And he'd go from being that crazy person who's preparing for the end of the world to the, oh, I guess you were right. And in this case, he was. We question his sanity, but at the same time, was he doing what was necessary to sustain not only himself, but two other members of the human race? And there were a few moments in that movie where you get the feeling like maybe he genuinely is a good, decent person, and he did the right thing despite the odds that it was ever even going to be necessary. Building a bomb shelter, storing all that food, preparing for every possible contingency to stay alive. I kind of went through some swings on how I felt about that character up until the moment, and if you haven't seen this movie and you intend to, I advise you shut this off right now. But that moment where the other male character asks for forgiveness, He says he's sorry. John Goodman's character says, okay. Bam! And I just remember sitting in my seat, and I don't get startled easily. Didn't see that coming at all. And at which point I realized, oh, you are a bad guy. Got it. So the movie progresses, and I'm reminded a little bit of Plato's Cave. And if you're not familiar with it, there's a link that I put in the description to a really good concept about Plato's Cave by the guys who make SciShow. Highly recommend you check out their videos, by the way. Extremely informative. But your perception of reality is based on what you see, what you hear, what your senses can bring in, the information available to you. And then all of a sudden, that information changes. In Plato's Cave, one of the people leaves the cave and sees reality for what it really is, then goes back into the cave to tell the other people there what reality looks like, but they can't accept it. They don't believe it because they've never experienced it. And that's how I kind of felt throughout this movie. What is real? Like, did the world really come to an end? And then you see that scene where that woman runs up, and I was thinking maybe she's like kind of like a zombie, you know, in that scene where she starts bashing her head through the window. I'm like, that's not what you would see typical of a normal person. However, she's still cognitively aware, she's still communicating with the other characters. Then she dies. Later on, you get the feeling that it's kind of like she was infected with like a pesticide, and it was only going to be a matter of time before she was dead anyway. The whole movie shattered my concept of what is real. Now, a good movie will do that. A good movie will let you forget what your real reality is and insert you into that version of reality. But this movie kept messing with my concept of reality. Just when I think I know who these characters are, I don't. Just when I think I know what the scenario is, I don't. The last few minutes of the movie, that's where the science fiction kicks in. There really wasn't much to that. In fact, I didn't even really think it was necessary for that movie. I think it could have just ended when she escaped and she looked out and she saw like the alien spaceship, I guess that's what it was, hovering, and at which point they could have done like oh crap, and then faded to black, and that would have been a great end of the movie. However, you know, they followed through with her trying to destroy the ship. Great, it was fun, but I noticed my perception of reality was starting to go, and you're losing me, you're losing me. And again, it felt a little bit like War of the Worlds there, where again, Tom Cruise's character gets sucked into the alien ship, or there was another character, and Tom Cruise's character pulled him out, and there were some grenades, and blows it up from the inside. The ship crashes, and many people are saved. So, in a way, I really did feel like this was the extended version, or maybe some cut room scenes of War of the Worlds, and I know they're not, one really has nothing to do with the other. But it brought me back, and I was really impressed with the way this movie presented itself, what it was, what it wasn't, and how it made me feel. And in the end, the best sign that this was, for me, a good movie was it took me some time to get over it. So I had experienced the movie, and then I was like, what just happened to me? What happened to the world? This is horrible. 10 Cloverfield Lane, I thought it was a great movie. I'm wondering if you've seen that movie, were there ever any other movies that made you feel like, I'm not really sure what reality is? I'm not sure what I'm seeing is, who's good, who's bad, what really is the scenario. So be curious to know what you think is another movie that maybe made you feel that way. So thank you for tuning in, and until the next time, thank you for watching. Goodbye.